Lately in Adobe Photoshop, all we've seen is AI, AI, AI. Well, guess what? There's some really cool old school techniques. Today I'm going to show you 5 old school techniques that you can use on just about any photo that you have inside of the program. And if you like these 5 techniques, the cool thing is I've created a free set of actions that you can go to shutterbugacademy.net and download. The link will be in the description. Welcome back. Today we're going to have a little fun with this image here. I'm going to show you 5 really cool old school techniques that I still use today, and I've turned 4 of them into actions. So the first one, you can't really use it as an action, so I didn't create an action. But I've created an action, so these are a lot easier for you to apply on your image. Make sure you watch to the end. These actions have a little pop-up at the end, and they explain to you what you need to do next. But after you get used to it, you're not going to want that. So I'm going to show you how to remove it. It's really, really simple. All right, so the first method that we have here is for setting white and black. So if you've watched any of my videos, and I'm sure a lot of other people, they'll tell you never to set white and black. And truthfully, I don't set white and black, but if you have to, this is a workaround, especially if you want to try auto. And what I'm going to do is just hit Command M. This is going to bring up curves. This is just the easiest way for me to show you. So if we come in here and we hit auto, this is going to automatically set pure white and pure black. So 100% black and 100% white. Well, we almost never want 100% black and 100% white. Now, if you're doing graphic design, you might want 100% white and 100% black. But in photography, we don't want that. Really, we don't really want to go much above like 97, 98% as far as black. And then our white, we want to always hold printable white. Usually I try to stay around 2%. We don't want our image to change that much. Also, setting white and black changes the color balance. So I'm going to just reset this here. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to set pure white right here on our face because this is the whitest area. And you can see how it completely changes that kind of beautiful golden color that we had in the image. And it blew out this whole area because it's setting it at pure white. We usually want to hold printable details or colors in photography. So the only time you'd want to set white is if you really had white with no detail, which is rare. So the workaround for this is to actually change the settings, but I don't think most people have any clue how to do it. So the first thing is we're going to reset this again. And you'll notice that I am in light 0 to 255. When you're working in RGB, you need to be in this mode, never work in pigment ink. That's for CMYK. So if that comes up, change it back. It must be in light. And then we're going to come into our white and we're going to double left click, and that brings up this color picker. So I'm going to change this from all 255 to 250, 50, 50. This doesn't mean that you have to use this exact number, but somewhere close. Play around with it to see what you like the best. It looks like our lightness is around 98%, which is what I want. All right. Anytime these 3 numbers, the red, the green, and the blue, are exactly the same, it's a pure neutral color. So you want to make sure those are all exactly the same. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to come over to my blacks, and I'm going to double click that, and I'm going to change this to 5. So 5, 5, 5, maybe 6s, maybe 7s, I don't know. You need to play around with it. So we're going to come in here, we're going to hit OK, and then I'm going to hit OK here. And then you're going to see this pop up. It wants to save these as the new target default colors. Hit yes. Now the problem is, if you want to go back, you have to physically go back in and change all those numbers because it set this in the computer. So even if you quit and open it back up, these are going to be your numbers. So we're going to do the same thing. I can come in here. And it's going to do the same thing that it did before, but not make it quite as bright as it did before. In this case, I don't really want my highlights to get any brighter, so I would manually come in and judge that. I could also hover over this and use my info panel so I can see right here that's around 9%. That's going to be okay. This is how we change the default white and blacks inside of Adobe Photoshop. Now, because I don't want to use this and I'm going to hit reset, I'm going to show you how to undo it. So come in here and you're just going to make these all 255. Hit OK. And my blacks, I'm just going to make these all 0. OK, hit OK. And then these are now my new default colors that I've saved. All right, so the next 4 things I'm going to show you are up here. I've already saved these as actions. The first one is dodge and burn. Yes, we have a dodge and burn tool over here. This is a little bit different and it's easier and you have more control over it. So the way this works is super simple. You're going to come down here to the little plus. You're going to create a new layer. You're going to click the plus. You're going to create a new layer. I'm going to hit Shift Delete on a Mac. I'm not sure what the quick key is on a PC, but it's Edit Fill. So you come up here, Edit, go down to Fill. You want to fill with 50% gray, hit OK. Don't worry, I've already created the action. So if you don't want to write down the steps, you can just download these actions and do this. Right now it's completely gray, it's not doing anything. The next step is to come over here and we're going to change the blending mode to soft light. So the contrast blending modes, which this is, 50% gray has no effect on your image. So if you make an area darker, it's going to make that area darker. If you have an area that's lighter, it's going to brighten that area. So I'll show you how that works. So first thing, I've got these weird default colors. So I'm going to hit the letter D on my keyboard. That gives me the default colors. And X will flip these colors back and forth, or you could use this little arrow here. We're going to come up and grab the brush, which is the letter B. And I'm going to lower my flow way down to like 5%. Oh, I got 6, but that's okay. You don't want this high or you'll get too much of the effect. All right, my brush is the big white brush, not the blue one. With white, if anywhere I paint white, and as many times as I go over it, it's going to lighten that area. So I'll hit Command Z to undo that so you can see it's lightening that area. If I hit X, so my left hand simply just has to live on the letter X, it makes it really easy to flip back and forth. Anywhere that I paint black, it's going to darken that area, all right? So you can see here, if I turn this on and off, we're adjusting that image simply by painting white and black into the image at a really low opacity. If I have this up at 100, you'll see here, it's just gonna be way too bright and it's not gonna look very good. So you don't want a high flow and do this at 100% opacity because it's not gonna look good. But that's how you dodge and burn using this kind of old school method. So we're going to come up here and go File, Revert, and send this back to the beginning. So our next method is called Selective Sharpening. However, this is high frequency selective sharpening. So I'm just going to go zoom, 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 and zoom into our face a little bit. So when we sharpen an image, usually you're using a sharpening method that applies sharpening to the whole photo. We don't really want that, especially in skin tones. We don't want to accentuate these skin tones. So I can simply come in here, go Filter, Sharp, Unsharp Mask. We'll leave this down here at 0 and sharpen this. And that sharpening here, let me make this smaller so you aren't looking at it. So it's sharpening the whole entire photo. We don't want that, all right? We only want to sharpen edges, okay? So in photography, sharpening increases edge contrast. That's all it does. Well, we don't want to accentuate the pores in the face, so we only want to do areas with detail. And in this method, we're going to control it manually. We're going to use the high frequency sharpening method, and then we're just going to come in here and paint it in. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here and I'm going to hit Command J or Control J on a PC, and we're simply just going to duplicate this layer. We're going to come up here and go to Filter, Other, High Pass. That's Filter, Other, High Pass. This window is going to come up and you'll see it's at radius of 2. Always leave it at 2. And if your image is out of focus, this will not work. You have to have areas that are in focus. This is identifying the detail in the image. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to change the blending mode to linear light. This is going to be way too much sharpening at this point, but we're just going to leave it. The next step is to come down to your mask, but we don't want to create a white mask. We want a black mask. And so the way you do that is hold Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and then click the mask, and we get the black mask. So we're simply going to come and apply this sharpening to the areas that we want sharpened. So because it's a mask, we're just going to take the brush at 100% in the color white and apply that. So let me make this a little bit bigger, and I'll come in here and I'll paint that eye, and then we'll get this eyebrow, and maybe those eyelashes, and these eyelashes, and maybe the lip right there and the lip right there. All right, I do the hair, but I have this kind of zoomed out. Now, the trick is when you're doing this, if you want to see the amount of sharpening and how it's affecting your photos, you need to go to View 100%. Because if you have this scaled down, you won't see how much sharpening you're doing to the image. Right now, we're at 100% of this. And if I dial this back out to 0, now we don't have any sharpening. You never want to do this at 100%. So what I'm going to do is just simply using the scrubber, increase this sharpening amount. I'm just looking at the eye right here, truthfully, when I do this. So I'm going to slide this over until I think I've got enough sharpening. I can look down here as well. That looks pretty good. I'm at 32%. And so now I've only sharpened these areas that are in white that we see right there in the mask. I'm going to hit Command 0. All right, now you can see it doesn't look like we sharpened very much, but we did because we did view it at 100%. So the trick with sharpening is you must always size your image first for how you're going to output, because the amount you're going to sharpen your image is dependent on the image size. So the larger your image size, the more sharpening you're going to need in the end. All right, so that is that. Let's go File, Revert, and we'll go back. The next one's really old. And so skin evenness is really designed for those days when you take a picture outdoors from like noon to 3 and you have that harsh overhead light. We're going to use it on this. You'll see how it will even out the skin tones on the face, but it's not really something I would use on this image. In this method, we're going to actually go into CMYK. This is the only time you will ever see me use CMYK. So come up here and go to Image Mode, CMYK color, and just hit OK. And then we need to make sure we have channels up. So we're going to go Window, Channels, and I brought my channels up here so it's easy to see. We're going to click on the yellow channel. So CMYK, you're going to have the C, the M, the Y, and the black, which is the, right? We want the yellow channel. Then you're going to hit Command or Control A for select all, Command or Control C for copy, Command or Control D, deselect. Click back on that. We're going to go Image Mode right back into RGB color because we don't actually want to use any of that. And then we're going to hit Command or Control V as in Victor, which is the paste command. And we simply pasted that yellow channel there. You're going to hit Command or Control I to invert that so it's a negative, and you're going to change your blending mode to soft light. That's the process essentially, all right? It's going to look horrible because you need to reduce the opacity. Usually I start at about 35%, so we'll come here and try to get pretty close to 35%. Now, right now, it is affecting the whole image. What I would do is do that same inverted mask by holding the Alt or Option and creating a mask. And I'm going to make my brush bigger. And I'm simply going to paint white into the skin tones, because usually when you do this, you don't want to do any other areas. You just want to use the skin tones, but we a lot of times don't want to do the hair or the body, but you could. It doesn't make a difference. So I'll turn this on and off, and what you'll see is it's skin evenness. We're evening out the skin tones, so the shadow areas are going to be lighter. So they're closer to the same value as the face, and it just makes it easier in harsh sunlight. So once again, we're going to come up here and go File, Revert. And the last thing we're going to take a look at actually is going to use channels again. So let's take a look at this. This image is not perfect for this. I used to use this a lot of times when I would convert a sport image into black and white. We used not to have great denoise or noise removal in the program. Now it's pretty good. but you can also use this for a whole bunch of other reasons. And so what we're going to do is in channels, we can see this is our blue channel. Notice how dark and muddy it is. Green is most likely going to be your best looking channel. And lastly, we have the red channel, has this kind of ethereal glowing look, somewhat representative of infrared photography. In this method, we're going to do a combination of red and green, but you could just do the green channel, just the red channel. You could actually just do the blue channel, depending on what you wanted to do. This is super simple. We're going to come over here to channel mixer and our adjustments, and we're going to select that. All right. Right here, we're going to turn this to black and white. And you can see this is giving us some defaults. So we're going to take the blue channel and make that 0. So we're just throwing the blue channel away. So at this point, this is a combination of just red and green. Usually I do a 60-40 split. This gives me a pretty normal looking image or what I'm after. You'll notice 60 and 40 add up to 100. That's going to keep the luminosity the same. You could vary that if you wanted, and you can do any combination of these numbers up here. So if I wanted this to be 50 and this to be 50, I could do that. I could also make this one 20 and this one 80 and do that. I could change the red to 100 and make this 0 and get that effect. I could do the same thing with the green. So any combination of those using channel mixer will help you convert your black and white image. The cool thing is if you do have a noisy photo, throwing out that blue channel, which is going to have the most noise in it, is going to help clean up your image a little bit. So that is channel mixer. The last thing I'm going to show you here is we're just going to go file, revert, and I'm going to show you the actions. I'll just run this first action up. And I'm going to show you the issue that you're going to run into if you do this. So we're just going to hit dodge and burn, and it's going to create the dodge and burn. And then it has this pop-up window, and it explains to new people what they need to do to then apply this action to their photo. After you've done this a couple of times, this popping up all the time is annoying. I'm just going to hit continue. So it stops. You can see right here, we've got this file. If I take white and I paint into it, right now it's at 100%, so it's not looking good, but it's going to brighten my image. So if you want to remove those stops, what you do is you go into the action, and this action is a zip file. You download it, open the zip, and then you're going to get an ATN file. Just double click that. It should automatically load to Adobe Photoshop. But we're going to click on this. We're going to go out of button mode, and we'll make this a little bit bigger. And right here you can see this is the folder with the old school actions. And here's 1, here's 2, and you'll notice inside there there's something called a stop. And then next to the stop there's a little white box. All you have to do is uncheck that box, and that stop won't stop anymore. So it will just eliminate that. All right. You could also delete that if you wanted. So you could hit stop and then hit delete that out of the action, and that would remove it. In this case, I don't want to do that. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn this back on to button mode. So that's how you remove the stop from the action once you understand the process of what you're doing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and could give us a thumbs up, that would be great. Don't forget to check the description. That will have the link to send you over to Shutterbug Academy. You can download those free actions if you'd like. Don't forget to subscribe and have an absolutely wonderful day.